Hey everybody, I am Rosemarie and I'm here today with Michele from Viking Cruises.
Hello,
Thank
everybody.
you so much for joining us,
Oh my gosh,
Michele.
welcome to our world headquarters. We've traveled so much and now you're home with me.
I know, this feels great.
Yeah.
Just seeing the team and seeing everybody feels like I am home. I'm with family.
You are.
Thank you. And I really wanted to help share what the Viking Cruise experience is like with everyone. I've been blessed to be able to have that opportunity and be able to travel to many different destinations in the world.
We've had a lot of fun together.
We have. I'll ask you about some of those experiences in a minute, and I'll share some photos with you all. But I would love for you to tell us a little bit about Viking Cruises, and something that really stands out to me is the people that you hire, the staff that you have.
Right.
I come back to the ship every time and I say, oh my gosh, how do they remember so many names?
They are amazing people, and you know, we're thrilled. We get nothing but great letters about them, but not just on board the ship, as you see here in our office as well, our reservation staff that takes care of all your great travel agents. And we've grown to be such a big company. We're 6,000 employees worldwide now.
So tell us a little bit about river cruising, because it is a very popular segment and a lot of people are talking about river cruising more and more these days. Prior to my first river cruise, I didn't know exactly what to expect, but once I got on board and I realized that I spent so much time in the cities that we were traveling to, that I now have such a deeper appreciation about not packing to feel like I'm on vacation and have it be a chore.
We're all about a cultural enrichment program. I've been with Viking since 2003, and back then no one knew what a river cruise was. I mean, people thought it was barging, they thought you rowed a boat, they thought you cooked in your cabin, and it was many years till we finally got people to understand that this was a really upscale, fabulous luxury experience. And of course, our friends at Downton Abbey helped an awful lot. So many people know us from our support of Masterpiece Theater. But we went on TV specifically to show people what a river cruise was, because everyone had this different idea of it. And people finally saw that they're these magnificent ships, but that they had choices of a different way to travel. So if they had been on big ocean ships, and I think people are starting to get a little tired of traveling with 10,000 people. And then all of a sudden this small ship experience came out with 190 guests. And that's what makes us so special, is, you know, on the trips we've been in, you're in big cities like Paris, but we're just wandering around, going to the local cafes if we wish, or we're with an organized tour. And so it's not just the ship experience, it's that whole on land, but the ship comes right into town. You remember when we were in Budapest and you just got off the ship and you're in the heart of the city? And this is what I think people have rather fallen in love with, is that ability to dock in a town, getting off of a luxury ship. By the way, disembarkation takes what, 2 minutes?
Yeah, if that.
There's no tendering.
There's
no tendering. And so they get into the heart of the town and the city. And that is really what has set Viking and the entire river cruise business on fire. Is that this great experience of not being with thousands and thousands of people and getting to know the locals and doing things like a local. And
so some of the things that I also enjoy about river cruising is when you go into the dining room and you have a meal, you meet people that then you see throughout your journey. And I've made such great friends along the way that I keep in touch with. You start to compare your stories, right?
You do, and that's what travel is, right?
And you're like, oh, I was just out in this particular city and I met someone, and the person will say, oh, I know them, I was just at that same restaurant. And so it's really interesting to have those experiences and take them with you instead of being with a lot of folks. There's never a line on a river ship. So how would you help us define what the luxury river cruise experience is like?
So the luxury to Viking is that you have choices, and you have choices of your holiday. So it's not getting off and following 30 people into the same cathedral with one guide. If you choose to go on a smaller group tour, that's available to you. To me, the luxury is you can lay in bed and have a croissant that's made that's so amazing, you remember it weeks later, and a fabulous breakfast, and you go off into town on your own. But you've got guide notes of where you can go, special little places, and it's the insights of the local folks. To us, is not stuffy. It's about being relaxed and not having to put a tuxedo on or a beaded gown. We are very comfortable. What you and I have on is about as fancy as you get, as you know, and maybe not even this much.
I debated, should I wear this?
I know, me too. But it's a relaxing, wonderful, wonderful experience. When you're going down the Rhine or the Danube, there's people around you from the staff that tell you what you're seeing, if you wish to or not. You can go to another part of the ship where you don't have to listen to anyone and you're just enjoying the gorgeous scenery. It's just that choice of going to different places and having some of the privileged access that Viking gives you when you get into the town as well. It's really a very special experience, and it's a very relaxing, memorable experience too, I think.
We were recently on the Seine River, and we were going to Versailles for the day. That was our shore excursion. And
it's not a bad place to spend a day at.
It's not a bad place at all. And I remember as we pulled up, there were several lines to get in.
Yes.
And there was ones that if you're just an individual and you purchased a ticket from a tour representative online, you had to wait in a specific line.
Right.
And being with Viking and having the guide with us, we walked right up, and so we walked right in.
So that's luxury
and
too.
We never had to wait. That is luxury,
that's luxury
right?
Too.
And what's beautiful about it is when we got back to the ship and everyone was standing outside waiting for us to come back and welcoming us back onto the ship.
They're
and
just
giving
delightful
us a meal.
people that work for us, and we're so proud of that staff.
Yeah, and another incredible experience, then I'm going to ask you if you don't mind sharing one of your favorite memories with us of your cruise experience, but is going to the local markets. Sometimes you have to wake up early, but it's definitely worthwhile.
Or just stay up all night.
Or just stay up all night and get to the market early, because there's certain areas in different destinations where they have these local markets with fresh fish and fresh food. And what's really brilliant and what I find so memorable is that the chef will actually come off the ship with you, come into the local markets, describe what type of food you're looking at, and talk about the history behind certain cheeses and how they're made. And you'll get to sample some different cheese.
And they tell you the story behind the milk for that cheese.
Yes, and there's a lot of wine in between too. You can sip some wine in between the cheese, which helps. But that to me has just made such an impression on me that when I get back home, I'm like, well, nobody's here to take me to the market and explain what I'm looking at and what I'm buying.
It's always horrible for about a week coming home from these ships, because I feel no one's made my bed today, no one has redone my towels, and the food is just phenomenal. But I agree, I think those are such special parts of it. And when we started in the Yangtze, I got on board, and I have to tell you, I don't know that I've ever been so well taken care of by people that were so kind and caring, that wanted you to see their country. And I still keep in touch with some of them now. From a personal shore excursion, oh my gosh, there have been so many, you know, going to Highclere Castle and seeing the real Downton Abbey. That is a privileged access with Viking and super special. We're very, very ingrained into that show. But a couple years ago, I did Bordeaux. And Bordeaux's a real interesting trip. You do a lot more wine tasting than cruising on it. And we were taken to Camus to make our own cognac. And this was a private Viking expedition that we got to do. No one else is doing it. And we had their master blender there, who looked like Omar Sharif, and so no one was listening too much. But we each got to make our own blend of cognac. And this is a trip that we offer to our guests. And then they wrap it up and you sign the bottle, and Camus keeps your recipe for 10 years. So if you like your bottle so much, you can call them up and have another one made just like you did that day. Another one, it was the first year we tried it a couple of years ago, was in Cologne, which I love Cologne. I think it's a magnificent city in Christmas market time or in the summer. But only 17 people per ship on Viking only, no other cruise line, can go up into the freight elevators of the cathedral, of the Dom, and go up into the spires of the church. To see the city that way, to be up with gargoyles, and to look out from the rafters of a cathedral that size, you just never forget it. I mean, there's been so many life-changing moments with Viking.
And so, if someone has questions, who would you recommend that they turn to learn a little bit more about the river cruising
Well, I've
experience?
just spent an entire weekend with many of your wonderful travel advisors, so please reach out to your travel advisor. Make sure you're asking questions. They're very well trained, and they'll really explain the ins and the outs and which are the better shore excursions to look at. You get one shore excursion every day included, and then we have a list of optionals. And they aren't big, expensive shore excursions. They're there really primarily for those with special interest. There's so many things to try. You can pre-book them, and your advisor can pre-book them as well.
Oh, that's great. That's really good. I like to know what I'm doing in advance so that I can pack appropriately. But you talked about some of the inclusions, right? And so that there's these excursions that are included per day, but also Wi-Fi is included.
Each and every day, Wi-Fi is included.
Which I love, because then I get to call home or FaceTime, and I feel, I'm still connected to everyone. And I don't have to be disconnected if I don't, want to.
Absolutely, no. River cruising with us is a very inclusive product. So, but Wi-Fi is included, beer, wine, and soft drinks each day with lunch and dinner, and the wine is of the local regions. The beers, you can try some of the local beers, so we make it very interesting for you. A shore excursion each and every day. All your meals are included. So once you have taken care of your trip, you get on board and just have a magnificent time. You don't have to worry about here and there and nickel and diming. That's super against our philosophy. Many of our promotions include air, so check with your travel advisor. They know all of our current promotions, and I'm sure we've emailed you or mailed you some brochures, so just give in, right? Take this magnificent journey down any one of the many rivers that we're on. Yeah,
there's a lot of value included, and that's the one thing that I just have to remind everyone is, as you look for the itinerary that's right for you, or you're looking for the experience that's right for you, definitely understand what you're getting. Because there's so much there, and instead of just looking at it like, well, this is, going to be my entire vacation, understand what you're getting for that. And we talked about the privileged access, and I think that that's a huge value that people underestimate if they don't know.
If you take us to Russia, for example, you're behind the scenes of the Bolshoi on our privileged access. And so each destination that we go to has something different. Lubkovitz Palace in Prague. These are places that are front of the line, special access for the Viking guests.
So can you tell us anything, give us a little sneak peek, what's on the horizon for Viking?
Well, our growth, as you know, has become huge. So our river cruise product was named #1 in the world by Condé Nast readers this last year.
Congratulations.
Big deal.
Yes.
Viking now has beautiful ocean ships. So we've taken everything successful of river and brought it over to a small ship ocean experience, only 930 guests.
Wow.
So it's under 1,000, it's the small ship experience. We have 71 river cruises now. I know, isn't that amazing? They had 12 when I started. And we have 6 ocean ships and building to 18.
Oh my goodness.
So this is definitely a product we're gonna have to come back and talk a lot about, but they're all brand new ships, all outside verandas. There's no inside category, it's all verandas, suites, and the same thing, a shore excursion included each and every day, Wi-Fi, beer, wine, and soft drinks, a cultural enrichment show, and amazing, amazing lectures on both these products. I mean, we have people that just look for that and curate the right lecturer to be on board to tell you more about whatever region we're going to, or the Euro, or Brexit, and explain it in a way that it's all very understandable to when you get to that area. It's really for the uncruiser. For those of your friends that are done with the 10,000 folks in a port. Most of the ports these ships go into, dock right, port side. You're not tendering very often, and magnificent.
It sounds ultra premium.
We started sailing in 2015, and we haven't been at this very long. We won Travel and Leisure Best Cruise Line in the World.
There you go.
The #1 cruise line before us was Crystal, which is a fantastic cruise line, was 20 years at #1.
Wow.
And we have won it every year since 2015.
I'm sure you're extremely proud of that.
A little bit proud, super proud.
We'll have to do an ocean cruise.
I think we're going to have to try that.
That'll have to be
It sells out so fast, it's so hard to get on it. So
I know.
both these products you need to plan about a year in advance for booking. Because the space goes fast, and that's not a sales pitch, as you know. These are small ships.
They're hard to get onto.
And when folks have not been on small ships, they think we're fibbing when we say this sells out a year in advance, but we're working all the way into 2020 right now, and even some space on ocean is open for 21.
So one of the things that I always find really interesting is my first river cruise experience, I walked off, and usually I feel like I'm moving for a couple of days.
From your ocean ships?
From my ocean ships, and I never have felt any motion at all being on a river ship. Do you know why that is?
Well, that's the beauty of river cruising, is that we get a lot of people that are first-time cruiser, period, because they're afraid of seasickness. And that just doesn't happen on the rivers.
Doesn't exist.
It's a smooth.
Yeah.
Now, we have hybrid engines on board our ships, so the design of the long ships is very, very special. You barely feel those ships move, but the long ship design that we have of our river ships in Europe is very special. I know that you enjoyed being on the Aquavit Terrace and sitting outside. Isn't that the best?
Having lunch outside.
So it's the front end of the ship is squared off. It's not a pointed bow. But part of this unique design that we have is we got rid of all the stuff that everyone else has on the front of their ships, like radar, and we made a restaurant. And we squared off the bow so that you could have that al fresco dining outside.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. I do have a photo of a lunch that I had on Aquavit Terrace recently. Glass of wine, a beautiful salad, and just enjoying the afternoon sitting outside.
That's what river cruising is. It's just watching the world go by, I always say.
Yeah. River cruising, you stay in port overnight. So you can go out and enjoy the city and go to a local pub and have a beer and just walk back onto the ship at your leisure.
You know, the thing about river cruising is it's not about cruising.
I was with you when the ship was arriving in Budapest, and you could see the city lit up at night.
Wasn't it
was
fantastic?
Beautiful. You can't describe that in words. You have to see it for yourself.
And we do this on ocean as well, by the way. So on most of the itineraries on the ocean ship, both ends of the itinerary you overnight on.
So I've always found overnights to be something very spectacular. If I want to enjoy, let's say we were out in Paris for the day and I wanted to catch up with the ship so that I could spend more time in Paris, I could either choose to just jump into a taxi and meet the ship at the next port. Is that
There
right?
are some itineraries you can do that on. It's easiest in Bordeaux.
Okay.
In Bordeaux, we've had people that want to dine in some of these beautiful Michelin star restaurants on that itinerary. You don't cruise so far on that. You can a little bit on south of France. So in southern France, you can do it. But a lot of these distances aren't that far.
Sure.
You know, there's some great areas along the Danube and the Rhine where you're just one magnificent little village after the other. And we have had people not miss the ship, but they've taxied to the next port to get on.
Sure.
So
I've biked to the next port.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
it was an
that's great.
excursion that we had, and it's the hybrid electric bikes and then the ones that you actually have to pedal for. So
but you pedaled, didn't you?
well, for most of it. And then I turned on the electric, if I'm being honest.
I don't want to hear that from you. Those that need to take it a little slower, we do put you in a different group on the day tours so that everyone has an enjoyable experience.
Sure.
But
I do find that the average age on board is probably 55 plus,
no,
but
absolutely.
a very active
Oh, super
55
active.
plus.
Our passenger is somebody that wants to explore because Vikings are explorers and they want to explore the city, they want to explore the culture, they want to explore the food and the pub culture in certain towns and villages. We do not even have children on board, so it's 18 plus on both ocean and river. You know, we were on the Danube a couple of years ago, right? Didn't you love Vienna?
I loved Vienna. One
Was
of my
that your
favorite
first time?
cities. I went shopping. I did a lot of damage in Vienna.
Vienna's an expensively wonderful city.
Yes.
There's other towns that I would have never gotten to if it hadn't been for Viking. Regensburg and Passau in Germany. I'll tell you what, I could live in Passau.
Yeah.
It is this amazing, charming town and all these beautiful colored buildings, and it's a university city. How nice is it that you can bring a bottle of wine or a cognac or wherever you are, any of that back to the ship?
And enjoy
There's
it on
no
board.
fee for it. There's no patting you down and taking it out of your suitcase.
I've never heard of that, so
yeah,
it's
no, it's
interesting.
really nice.
Yeah. One of my other favorite experiences on board is the taste of.
Oh,
Can you tell us what the
mine
taste
too.
of is?
Well, we thought a few years ago we wanted to kind of have one night that was like the street food of that area. That was how this started.
Okay.
And what it has become is this one night for the dining experience of all the great foods of this area. So, well, you remember the last one we had. That was pretty incredible with the cheeses. And so we were outside of Paris that night,
We were,
right?
yep.
So it was a taste of Normandy. And dinner was, for lack of a better term, a buffet, a feast, where you could try all these different foods of that region. And it wasn't a set course plated dinner. It was getting up and looking around. And, we shouldn't talk about food
I know.
anymore.
I'm
It's
getting
to be that
hungry.
time.
Well, Michele, we've shared some photos throughout our talk here today
Yes.
of us and our travels, some of the things we talked about today with our group here. So if you have any questions, definitely follow up with your travel agent. They'd be glad to answer any questions you may have about the current promotions that Michele and I talked about or about a specific destination, itinerary, ship, all of that. good stuff. But
it's time to get going, right?
It's time to get going, and I'd love to see you all on board with us one day. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.